Hi, you're live with Taryn Bashford, author of teen fiction series The Hop Effect, Game Face, and Payback. We're talking about Project Awesome again today, which Project Awesome aims to help teens go from feeling pretty awful to feeling pretty damn awesome. Anyway, I'm in new surrounds today because, excuse me, the neighbours appear to be building a pool, so there's a lot of banging going on. So I've moved out into the lounge. So today we're going to be talking about what our core beliefs are about ourselves and actually where these come from. Most importantly, how to change them, because a lot of our core beliefs are pretty negative and lead to bad self-esteem. So this is the third step out of 5 that will help to change your mindset. So what are negative core beliefs? There are hundreds of them, but some of the very popular ones are: I'm stupid, I'm ugly and no one will ever love me, I'm a failure, I'm no good and will never amount to anything. So you kind of get my drift. So what are your core beliefs? And the first step is to changing your core beliefs is to identify them, and then also to replace them with more positive ones. So first of all, tackle one core belief at a time. You can't just squash them and pretend they don't exist. That's not going to work. They're still going to be in your unconscious and they're still going to be working behind the scenes, even if you're trying to ignore them. So you need to identify your negative core belief and then figure out where it came from, and most importantly, how accurate it is. And then you finally replace it with a positive core belief. Okay, so here's an example. That core belief that you believe you're no good and will never amount to anything. Well, where did that come from? Perhaps it came from the fact that your brother's a straight A student and wants to be a lawyer, and he's always calling you a mess up, and you can never really compare yourself to him. You always seem to fail when you do compare yourself to him. Maybe secondly, it comes from the fact that your mum, who's a single mum, never seems to stop your brother from saying these things. So maybe she believes them too. Or possibly from your teachers, who kind of always give you that disappointed look, and you're thinking, yeah, they just think I'm a mess up and never will amount to anything. So that can be where this comes from. However, you need to detach yourself from these thoughts and from being a son, from being a student, from being a little brother, and kind of become a bit of a lawyer. And I try to identify exactly how accurate these core beliefs are, because there's always a different interpretation. For instance, in this example, perhaps the brother is trying to be man of the house, or is just teasing you. You know, he is the man of the house, and perhaps he's kind of pushing some authority over you by saying these things. Maybe he doesn't realize the effect it has on you. Just because he's an straight A student doesn't mean that you, with your B's and C's, are a mess up. It just means perhaps you're a bit more average at that, and there's other things that you're better at. Perhaps your mum doesn't stop him from calling you a mess up because she's exhausted and doesn't want to have a confrontation. Or perhaps she does sometimes stop him, but you don't focus on those times. You focus on the times when she doesn't. And maybe those teachers are looking at you in that disappointed way because, not because they think you're a mess up, but because they think maybe you could put more effort in, or maybe you're a bit disorganized. There could be other interpretations for that. So this is a really important part of this process, is actually going, well, actually, is there another interpretation for where this core belief came? How accurate is this core belief about myself? I hope that makes sense, because that's a really important part of this process. So once you've identified that there could be different interpretations to things, you need to then replace that core belief of I'm a mess up and will never amount to anything with something a lot more positive. So you need to think about some good things about yourself. Some things you're going to be weaker at, some things good, and some things really strong. So maybe start with something really strong. So in this example, the core belief could change to, I'm really great at sport. I don't want to be a lawyer. I want to be a sports teacher. I'm really great at basketball. And I'm not a lazy mess up sort of person, based on the fact that I train really hard at basketball and I do really well at it. And maybe I am a bit disorganized with my work, and if I got organized and put a bit more effort into it, the same amount of effort as I put into basketball, maybe my grades will come up a bit too. So that can now become a core belief, as in, you're not a straight A student, and that's okay. B's and C's are okay, but you are going to put some more effort in because you're not a lazy person, and that's proven in how you work at your basketball. So now test this out. Actually go ahead and make these changes. Don't just say them and think them. put a plan into action, get organized, show that you now have a new core belief. And this will take time. It's a step-by-step process, and it won't change instantly. And you do actually need to work on one negative core belief at a time as well, so that you get rid of all of them and replace them all with more positive ones. And after some time has passed, you can actually go back to how you used to feel about yourself and say, well, now do I actually think that? You're now getting mostly Bs. Your teachers are praising you and noticing your efforts. So is your mum. Yeah, she doesn't stop your brother from teasing you sometimes, but you can understand how exhausted she is holding the family together. And your brother might still call you a mess up, but that's just him teasing and being a big brother, really. And, you know, now you're getting Bs, you're excelling at basketball, you're feeling like you're on top of the situation. There's no way you're a mess up. You're just maybe not your brother, and that's okay. You don't want to be your brother. Anyway, so this should give you an example of how these negative core beliefs can actually change, and you can actually do something about them. I hope that this step 3 helps you, and make sure you subscribe to receive live notifications for the next video, in which we'll cover how to adjust unhelpful and rules and assumptions about life that you may have. This is a pretty interesting one. If you'd like to send in comments about how you're going with your journal or how you cope with lower self-esteem, I'd also really like to hear from you. With step 4 next time, you're almost at the final step in the process of going from feeling awful to feeling pretty damn awesome. So I hope to see you next time. This video will also be posted on YouTube and on my website if you want to see it again there too. All right then. Cheers. Bye.